Good day, brothers and sisters in Christ. Welcome to our Sunday reflection for the 16th Sunday of the year. The theme of our reflection is the gift of hospitality. Mary has chosen the better part, which will not be taken away from her. Luke chapter 10, verse 42. One of the consequences of the September 11 attacks was the shutdown of airspace. Over 1 million passengers arrived at nearby airports, including nearly 7,000 stranded passengers and crew members who were eventually diverted to Gander, a town in Newfoundland, with a population of just under 10,000. Gander and the surrounding areas lacked enough hotel space for the thousands of stranded travelers. However, residents rose to the occasion. Community television stations called for volunteers. Schools and non-essential businesses closed so that people could help those in need. Schools, churches, and Legion halls were transformed into makeshift dormitories. Some residents even hosted visitors in their homes. Many donated toiletries, clothing, and food. The locals also organized activities to entertain visitors, such as town tours, bowling matches, and concerts by local bands. A strong bond developed as a result. After the event, the passengers and crew of one flight established a scholarship fund for students in Gander with an initial donation of $15,000. Since 2001, the fund has grown to exceed $1 million and has awarded scholarships to over 200 local students. Gander's experience teaches us that hospitality can be a transformative experience, but only if the host is present to the guests. Our readings emphasize that our guests may be messengers from God, and if we are present to them, they can be sources of blessing. In the first reading, Abraham was attentive to his guests. Before serving them, he engaged with them to understand their needs. His guests blessed him and assured him that God will fulfill his longing for a child. In our gospel reading, we hear the familiar story of Mary and Martha. Anyone who has hosted guests in the past will sympathize with Martha. Yet it was Mary who understood what Jesus needed. Although Martha appeared hospitable, she was not entirely so in reality. First, she was burdened with all the serving. This suggests that she was more focused on impressing her guests than being present with him, which made her resentful. The greatest obstacle to hospitality occurs when we make our guests an extension of ourselves. In this case, we assume we know their needs and try to impress them without taking the time, like Abraham, to discover if what we offer is truly what they need. When we treat our guests in such a manner, we indirectly attempt to control them. We become preoccupied with our desire to impress rather than cultivate a relationship with them. People come into our lives to transform us if we let go of our plans and allow them to surprise us, just like the people in Gander, Newfoundland. This is also evident in the lives of Abraham and Mary, but unfortunately not in Martha's. She simply could not let go of her plans. What do we need to do to allow God to bless us through strangers He sends our way? We need to create a space that is truly accommodating. Henry Nouwen captures this in his powerful insight on hospitality. And I quote, "In our world full of strangers, estranged from their own past, culture, and country, from their neighbors, friends, and family, from their deepest self and their God, we witness a painful search for a hospitable place where life can be lived without fear and where community can be found. Hospitality, therefore, means primarily the creation of a free space where the stranger can enter and become a friend instead of an enemy. Hospitality is not to change people, but to offer them space where change can take place, both for them and ourselves. End of quote. To create a welcoming and supportive space, we must focus more on our guests' needs and less on our desire to impress or control them. Like Abraham, we will recognize when it is time to serve our guests and when it is time to listen and reflect. Knowing when and how to do this calls for prayer and communication. Prayer is needed because only God can help us see His face in the faces of strangers. Communication is essential because no one is an extension of ourselves, and we need to understand their needs before we can truly serve them. This week, I want you to do the following. The next time you have a guest, take a moment to pray so that you receive them well. Secondly, your children are your guests. Ask God to inspire you to create the right environment for them to become the people God intends them to become rather than who you want them to be. Have a blessed week.